hangars doesn't look very nice. If you go on the road to Limuru at Rironi, now you see so many towers. I know it's the same thing that mobile phone operators do. I know we are not here to talk about mobile, but you have every side of the road you have got towers. Would it be nice if you only had one? So it's similarly for broadcasting. We've already talked about the benefits. So the requirements, we have to do infrastructure upgrade, which is what's happening now with KBC and Pan-African Network are putting up new infrastructure. Set-top boxes, it's a very big issue. It's a very big issue. Content, there's a channel which is showing behind the room there. I don't know if you know it. You can see some bald man talking. I like that channel. I don't know the name, but I like it very much because it's a new channel. And it never used to exist before. So now I can watch those people talking. Very nice. There are others. Acquisition of set-top boxes. What the government has done, during the budget speech, the government removed taxes on set-top boxes. Perhaps it's not enough, but it's important to have incentives for set-top boxes because these are still new devices and they're expensive. And then the last one, consistent communication. What the Secretariat is saying and what the Ministry is saying and what CCK is saying and what you write about should be the same story. And even what the content providers are saying, we should be saying the same thing. We should not be contradicting one another because if we do, then we cause confusion. So, milestone. I've already talked about what we did, the task force, the standards, the licensing of the first signal distributor, the launch of the pilot by His Excellency the President on 9th of December 2009. One thing I left out there is that on the 1st of December 2010, the government made a policy decision to move from DVB-T to DVB-T2. Mr. Mbani, please ring the bell when there's 5 minutes to go. Me, I usually have a bell when I'm moderating, so it's that way. In April this year, those of you who are there at the Intercontinental, we launched the DVB-T2. And then in June, the government removed the duty on set-top boxes. Again, that was based on a lot of input from the Secretariat, from the CCK and from the Ministry, and also from the content providers. We worked together and we had to go there and face a panel where I think about 6 people and there were about 20 people from the other side. So we had to answer questions and justify why that was an important thing. Then Nairobi, then now the service has been expanded, I hear, to Mombasa and to Kisumu. Again, you'll be given an update by the people who are doing this. And then the last stage would be expanding and covering the whole country. You may not see the colors, but this map, I can see red here, but you can't see. The blue is countries that have adopted DVB-T. And the deep blue, the light blue are countries that have adopted DVB-T2. So you can see this is different from the original, the people who signed the treaty. Australia, General Oceania, India, Southeastern Asian countries have adopted DVB-T as their technology, although they are not party to the agreement, but they're saying the technology is good. The estimation is that about a billion units of DVB-T that have been shipped out, and more than 100 countries have adopted it. China has their own standard, but it's very close, very, very close to the DVB-T. What I hear is that they took it and tried to make some improvements on it. South America, you see, is red. There is a small country in Asia that has the same color as the South American countries. That small country is called Japan. They have another system, ISDBT, Integrated Services Digital Broadcasting. Again, it's a similar type of system, but they have developed it. You remember in the analog world, we had PAL, SICAM, and NTSC. the battle continues. You develop your standard and see if you can, the one that can take over the world. So the South Americans, actually the penetration has come from Brazil. And it also works, it's also as good. And then you have North America, which is Canada and the US. And then another small country in Asia, called Korea, which are using that system. So everybody is moving. You see, there is no country that has been left out of those 3 standards, or the 4 standards that are there. Already, I think we've talked about the standards and the adoption. The only thing I'll talk about the advantages of DVB-T2 is that it gives you about 66% more efficiency. When we started this process in 2006, we were talking of, for every 1 analog, you'll get 4. So I think that's a very good thing. For 4 times, that's a very, very good return. That was DVB-T MPEG-2. Then we went to DVB-T MPEG-4. So from 4 channels for 1 analog, we went to 8. Then DVB-T2 MPEG-4. I know the DG asked and we said in chorus 27. Me, I would say 20. The reason is this. You know, I don't come from a community that normally has cows. But if we had a cow in Busia, we'd not milk it until it cannot go to the river to drink water. We'd milk it a little bit and leave some room, some energy for it to go to the river, to drink water, eat grass, and come back. So our cow would give you 20 channels for 1. But maybe if you come from a community where you milk the cow until it's dead, then you bring it water, it's okay. You can do 27, 30, 40, but 66% more efficient. I'm trying to justify the reason why the government actually made that decision, a policy decision, move from DVB-T to DVB-T2, because we are then able to accommodate. Yes? You have a question? Oh, 1 minute. It was able to accommodate. And I think with DVB-T2 also, what's not there is that you can actually accommodate, theoretically, you can put your standard definition, your mobile, your high definition, and even 3D, theoretically, into one multiplex. Previously, what happened is that when we had DVB-T, and I think DMTV had their DVB-H, they had to run a different network. DVB-T was running a different network. If you had to do HD, we would have to run a different network, a different set of transmitters. But with DVB-T2, it is possible actually in future to have all those services in one multiplex. In one 8 megahertz frequency channel, you can actually put everything there, so everything is integrated. I will not talk about the rollout plan because these plans have been developed by 2 entities, Signet and Pan-African Group, and they are better placed to discuss them. So what have been the challenges? The first one was money. Getting money to roll out the network for Signet. You know, it's competing with so many other things. The strikes, constitution, there's elections next year, the things like HIV, I'm serious, HIV/AIDS. So if you go and tell them that we have to switch off analog by next year, in the scale of things, where if you are the finance minister, where would you put it? Number 1 or the last one? Perhaps the last one, isn't it? So those are challenges. But fortunately now things are working, and I think you will hear from Mr. Ihenya and also from Mr. Kamau there, that it's a big, I call him Mr. Kamau, I don't know why, but how these things are moving. It's been very interesting that we haven't seen, this is a personal comment, we haven't seen a lot of additional content from broadcasters. Even KBC, we hear, has a lot of archives, isn't it? So we hear KBC has a lot of archives. Where is it? Sorry, they are. No, seriously. We need to have additional content. We have not had enough content. Where are we going to get content? For everyone, we are getting 20. If that one we are pushing through news channels for 8 hours a day, how will you get content for the other 19? The challenge. Mr. Mbani, I'm about to finish. And also consumer education, it took a bit of time because we have the issue of the set-top boxes, so we have to make sure that set-top boxes are available so that we tell people. The first thing they ask is, where can we buy set-top boxes? So now at least we can be able to provide those answers. I think you know best how you can assist us to communicate, so I cannot tell you what your role is, but I was just suggesting that perhaps we are told the media is very powerful, so you could actually, because of that, you can help us communicate our message very clearly and people will listen to you. Maybe you could also urge the broadcasters to give us more content so that we don't get content that we already have on the analog platform. Find out what's happening elsewhere so that you don't just believe what we are telling you, or you don't disbelieve. So you don't hear that what we are saying, that one has just been cooked in CCK by the Digital Kenya Secretariat. It's probably something that has been done elsewhere. Please just check what's happening elsewhere. And help us to carry out the awareness campaign. One thing we found that, and I could be wrong, but we found that the Digital Secretariat has been the one actually working very hard. In the US, for example, the government they paid for awareness, but most of the awareness was done by the broadcasters themselves. They set up aside time, their own time, to do the awareness. So this is an appeal that perhaps you could also help us create that awareness. I pulled this off the CCK website this morning. There are 4 authorized vendors, but perhaps they can tell us more, because I know I saw some ads about integrated digital TVs. So Mr. Mbani, you can tell us whether those ones are approved or not, because they are not on the website. Please, talk to us. And you can also talk to me.
And for those of you who know me, I'm the founder and one of the founders and the chairman of Radio Africa Group. I sit on the Kenya Media Council, and I have the very difficult task of also being the chairman of the Media Owners Association. And as you know, the Media Owners Association brings together fiercely competitive companies that are represented here in all the cameras before us. When I got this topic, I came to the conclusion that it can only be a competitor who chose it, hoping that I'll share what Radio Africa is planning to do. Reason being, I think to effectively address or present on that topic would require that we have a seminar source for the media and ask everybody to share their strategy in these evolving and challenging times. And that's difficult because what everybody is planning to do is really everybody's business. So what I will do instead is use the few minutes allocated to me to address the issues that are of concern to us as the media with respect to digital migration. And I'll start by lauding the CCK for organizing this stakeholders workshop on digital migration, which is both timely and pertinent in the context of Kenya's digital migration plan. Without doubt, the topic of digital migration is one of great concern to media owners, not just in Kenya, but globally. An article in yesterday's Business Daily entitled "Media Group Faces Tough Markets in Digital Migration" captured the experiences of one such firm by the name of Quartz that has recently set up a 100% digital operation. And the story goes on to narrate the challenges they have faced both in identifying audiences and competing against well-established players in traditional media. And the story goes on to conclude that for them to succeed, they have to decide which audiences they're going after, how to serve it in different ways from the other giants that are involved playing in that space. And in the 15 minutes that I've been allocated, I'll try to lay out what is important to us as the media owners in Kenya, but also touch on what we consider to be in the national interest. And firstly, the concerns we have are intrinsic and arise from the fact that the digital migration impacts on our existing business models. And in the recent years, we've seen the developments in the developed countries of several new television initiatives such as Apple TV, Roku Player, Boxybox, Google TV, that connects the television to an internet-enabled interface, providing access to online content platforms such as Netflix and YouTube. Moreover, these devices allow developers to create their own applications, giving access to new forms of television, which disrupts and alters the classic understanding of the medium. And cognizant of that fact, it will no longer be business as usual for us. The traditional barriers to entry in the licensing and frequency spectrum regimes will be a thing of the past, allowing multiple new entrants to play in our space. Obviously, this is a matter of great concern given the millions, maybe even billions of shillings that have been invested in infrastructure and the thousands of people who work for media companies in this country. The current business model we operate will be impacted on forever. And in the wild world of business, this can only mean one thing, that only the fittest will survive. And in the context of this technological shift, the fittest means the companies that will be most innovative and adaptive. And by looking at the development of television as a domestic medium and the development of interactive television, you will agree that television as a medium has been changing ever since its commercial and domestic acceptance in the world after the Second World War. Not only the technical developments, but also the cultural and social acceptance have changed with the development of the medium. An important aspect of this transformation is the convergence and the two-way web-based initiatives such as user-generated content on YouTube and social media tools such as Facebook and Twitter. And the traditional one-way television as a sequenced, passive and controlled mass medium. Within these two platforms, the traditional distinction between the user and the producer and the broadcaster and the viewer is blurred, and the media power of traditional institutions is dissipating. So the reality is, obviously, for all those of us who have invested in this industry, we have to recognize, we have to accept that business, the model changes and the model changes forever. So we have to prepare ourselves, and hence making it very difficult for me to address the topic that I have been given in its original format. And the traditional way also entails censorship that denies open access to television and the capabilities of the mass media to construct reality shows, while the web and new media technologies are considered to consist of a free and open culture and a highly empowered audience base, providing the opportunity to engage in corrective communication with power holders, e.g. politicians, mentors, celebrities, and etc., as well as to facilitate participation of the audiences. Additionally, the declining interest of the young audiences in the traditional form of television and the move towards a more interactive and participatory form of business forces the industry to react, and that is what we are doing today. The second issue, the second concern that we have as media in Kenya is with respect to the calendar of the migration. And it is important that we as stakeholders must ensure that we have a practical and realistic calendar. And we support the position that has been taken by the CCK to conduct a phased migration aimed specifically at ensuring that we do not deprive our population access to TV coverage. In firming up a date when we will have the final migration, let us take cognizance of the state of the economy and also the political developments in the environment in which we operate. You know, we are heading to an important election, and if we said we were going to do the migration between now, the absolute migration between now and March of 2013, I think, DG, you'll agree with me that I don't know whether you'll be sitting comfortably in your office. Because if you walk in Nairobi, even in the slums, you will notice that there isn't a single dwelling that doesn't have an aerial. So anything that you do that will give them a black screen tomorrow, I'm sure will make it very difficult for you to sit in your office. And the final point that I want to raise, and the final concern that I wish to bring to the attention of this forum, is with respect to the contentious issue of the recent licensing of the signal distributors. And whereas we acknowledge that the award to both the Pan-African Group and to Signet has been concluded, observing the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, the local media, under the umbrella of the Media Owners Association, went ahead on the instigation of the government and registered a special purpose vehicle with the intention to participate in this space as a third licensee. And as key stakeholders and producers of crucial local content using our existing free-to-air model, we once again take this opportunity to appeal to the government to expedite this grant so that local media fraternity can also share in this opportunity. And in saying so, I think we are practical and we are realistic. And whereas we